Glass is a superhero film and is directed by M. Night Shyamalan and stars Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, Sarah Paulson, and James McAvoy. And as you see, I'm joined by some familiar faces, Shaun and Mitchell. We just went and saw this movie and we all liked it. So going into this movie, I did have a bit of doubt because the way this movie has been viewed by critics has been a bit mixed. So all three of us tried to go into this movie with an open mind, and we think it's better than what the critics are saying. So instead of a traditional review, all three of us are just going to treat this like a discussion because this is a movie that needs analyzing. And also before I continue, this is going to be a spoiler review. So if you haven't seen the movie, leave this video and go check out the movie. And with that out of the way, let's get discussing. The movie was definitely slow in parts, and some of the cinematography, specifically the POV shots, were not my favorite thing in the film, but I don't know, just overall, I thought it was a really good movie, better than Split.
I'd say I feel the same way. It was just a very back to basics with M. Night Shyamalan. It's really nice to see that he is continuing on this trend of making pretty good movies ever since Split.
Yeah, I was really impressed with it. I think that it is his return to form. I think that he's made so many movies lately that haven't been great. I thought Split was quite good, but I was really impressed with this, and I would put it next to Unbreakable as one of the best in that sort of trilogy. I think it was well done.
For me, at least, Shyamalan's films, I'm a bit hit or miss. Some of his films I truly love, but then his other films I despise with a passion. His films like Signs, The Village, Lady in the Water, The Happening, The Last Airbender, and After Earth, I hated with a passion. But then with a film like Unbreakable, that is a true masterclass piece of film. And for me personally, Unbreakable is just a really fantastic movie. Split I also enjoy, but I more enjoyed it on an entertainment factor. I wouldn't say that was a great movie overall. With Glass, I think this film is better than Split, because this film definitely opens up the mythology of superheroes.
The great thing about this film is that it's very much trying to dissect the comic book hero stories.
Yeah, I think what definitely helps this movie is the budget. This is not your typical superhero film every day, because most of the Marvel movies now are made on budgets of $150 million or upwards. This film was made on $20 million, so the filmmakers can't do anything glamorous with this movie. But I think that works to this film's benefit because it definitely felt more like a grounded superhero film. Because like I said, it goes back to the basics and really analyzes what superheroes are and what impact they really serve to the world as a whole.
I think it's refreshing too. I think that we're so saturated by so many comic book movies now that everybody expects them to turn out a certain way, where this is completely different, and he's created a whole universe with these, Unbreakable, Split and Glass. And I think he's created such a great atmosphere in these films. They're very simply made, but there's such a great storytelling. And I think that so many superhero movies today, it's all about action, explosions and stuff, where this is really telling a story. And I think Unbreakable started such a brilliant universe in the story, and Glass, I think, finished it off so wonderfully that it's just brilliant what he was able to accomplish, and I was really impressed. The thing I really liked was the idea of these three people trying to, they bring up the thoughts that maybe what the abilities they think they have may not be real, it may be all in their head. And I thought that was a great concept because you really started to make you question, are they really these heroes? Do they have these abilities? Or is it more that they imagine that they have them and they're not really what they seem? And I thought that was such a great concept and a great way to do a third film and really, like you said, dissect these characters. And we get to see a bit of backstory of the characters when they were children and stuff like that, and an event that happened that formed them into who they became. And I just thought that all of that was really brilliantly done, and I was really impressed with the story he was trying to tell and the arc of the characters.
Yeah,
it's really good.
In that sense, it's kind of almost poking fun at a lot of superhero tragedy origin stories. Because the reasoning they give for why they think this stuff is because they've had a traumatic childhood, and then thus they start to believe that they have these supernatural abilities. And so during the movie, I would think about a character like Batman, who of course everyone knows his parents died and he got scared by some bats, and so someone could say he's probably just imagined himself as this crime-fighting vigilante.
So it definitely acknowledges superheroes that are iconic to us, like Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man, but it definitely sets itself apart to be, something truly original and unique that only M. Night Shyamalan can come up with and create.
So this is basically M. Night Shyamalan's love letter to stories. And the reason for that is, even though they're fiction, even though they're not real, they can be real within everyone. They inspire something. In the movie, we see how basically the comics are a kind of reflection of life, and how life is a reflection on comics, and that sort of balance, and that's how he sort of sees the world.
Like, something clever about like how Samuel L. Jackson is a very good character in this is because like it started with Unbreakable, where like he like thinks to himself that he was a mistake, but then like when he finds David Dunn, he believes like he now has a purpose, and that leads to like the third film where his purpose is like now fulfilled. He's now found beings that are not only real but actually exist in his world.
In Unbreakable, Mr. Glass basically places himself as a villain. He's completely where he has to play the role of the villain because
bring out the hero.
Yeah, his whole philosophy is if there is a great hero, a great evil must rise above. And of course there's that whole mirror side. And it sort of ties into this whole idea of fate. And that's even brought up by, what was the psychologist's character name again?
Just call Sarah
Paulson. So Sarah Paulson even brings up how they're trying to bring balance, because anytime there is a great hero, then there is a great evil that rises up against them, and then they just escalate things between each other. It's really quite
unique idea.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it's not necessarily untrue. Like in so many superhero movies, basically the whole world is just so ordinary, and then a hero comes along, and then the villain comes along. You see it in Spider-Man. You see it, in pretty much all Spider-Man media. But you see it in Batman. Batman rises up, and then the Joker arises.
Yeah, because the problem I have with that is like with the like DC and Marvel universes, like everyone just acts like it's normal. But at least with like this trilogy, this universe that M. Night Shyamalan has set up, like he's created like a world where like, you know, it is possible that these superheroes might exist, and like the ending specifically does hint at like how it might possibly go if like superheroes do exist in our world. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to discuss what we liked, what we didn't like, while we're also going to be discussing the ending. And first off, let me say that this ending might frustrate a few people, because with most Shyamalan films, there's a twist, and there's about 3 of them, and it's like the last 20 minutes alone, and like the very last twist I was a bit on, but then the more I think about it, I am starting to come around on it because it does make sense. So what did you guys like about this film? Because definitely the performances from everyone was good, especially Bruce Willis, who gives the best performance I've seen from him since like 2012. Like that was the last time he was in a good film.
Yeah, it's been quite a while for him, and I was really impressed with him. And I think Sarah Paulson was great and a great addition to the cast. I thought Samuel L. Jackson was great. Anya Taylor-Joy did a fantastic job.
But like the real star was James McAvoy.
James McAvoy was great.
He was a revelation.
Yeah, like he had the toughest task of all to play 24 different characters, and he like does a very near flawless job of playing all of them
with different accents and women and men, and it's just so impressive.
And the body posture as well. Like you can actually see it as he changes between them. It goes from like really buff to sort of a lot more frail.
Yeah, very timid and fragile.
It's great. And Samuel L. Jackson is just a treasure.
And he's so impressive in it. But
I'd have to disagree about Bruce Willis's performance. While what we see is really great, he never has any moment to really shine. Like he is just sort of, he's there and he does his job really well. But it's just not, like, especially when you put him next to James McAvoy and everything he was allowed to do.
He sort of steals the show and he gets his ability to play it, so I can see that.
Because, like, with Bruce Willis, he was fine, I do agree. Like, he was better than usual, but, like, he didn't have that much screen time in general. Because, like, James McAvoy and Samuel L. Jackson steal the show from him. And, like, Bruce Willis's character in this movie, he doesn't have much of an arc, much of a reason to be in the film. Like, I know it's, like, the tie-in Unbreakable, but, like, you look at Samuel L. Jackson's character and James McAvoy's characters, they have arcs that continue on from like Unbreakable and Split. There's not much reason for the David Dunn character to be in this movie, essentially, but like I'm still glad to see Bruce Willis back again.
Well, I think sorry. I was going to say, I think you needed him in it though, because you needed a hero. There's no one else with abilities, so he had to be the thing. And I liked to see where he went, and that his wife had passed away, and his son had grown up, and they had created this team together. And trying to stop bad guys.
Yes.
I thought that was really good.
Sort of like Batman and Oracle, sort of.
Yeah.
Because like one has abilities that can help others, while another one like is just like there's like to help observe, like as the observer to like help out and spot crimes.
Yeah.
I'm glad they brought back some of those actors from the original film, like Elijah's mother and like David Dunn's son. Like I'm glad they brought the same actors back. But yeah, like I kind of agree. Like I did enjoy the performances, but like they weren't like Oscar caliber. They're mostly just like, maybe if I was to score the performances from the lesser characters, the supporting characters, I would say 7, maybe.
Yeah, it's like I think also the other problem is like the dialogue wasn't always amazing. Like it served its purpose for the plot, but it did have that very distinct M. Night Shyamalan stunted dialogue.
I guess because it's a superhero film, it just, the dialogue is meant to be a certain way, maybe.
Yeah, I definitely found the dialogue more, like, I did find the dialogue better in this film than Split. Because, like, with superhero films now, like, there are, like, action, talking. This one's more, like, action and then a long bit of talking. Because, like, make no mistake, this is a very slow-paced film. But, like, the reason I liked this film a lot was it was trying to build a story. And, like, the whole middle section where they're in the institution, they're trying to, like, with the dialogue and the writing, they're trying to like build these characters, try and like really build up their story and their like mythology of like, do you believe who you think you are? I didn't mind the writing as much. Like Shyamalan's writing is like, who cares? When he hits it on the nose, he hits it good. With the problems I have with this movie, cinematography, for overall, I liked it, but one shot in particular I just got tired of like pretty quickly was the POV shots, because like they brought the same cinematographer back from Split, and this is the same guy who did It Follows. I don't know, I just didn't like the POV shots because it just felt a bit awkward.
Yeah, I liked a lot of the camera work. I think I did like the POV shots because I felt it really put you in there, and they were trying to do something different with it. I still do believe that Unbreakable was the best shot film. It was well executed and thought out, and each shot served a purpose and was beautifully done. With his new cinematography that he had with Split and did It Follows, it sort of has the same sort of cinematography, but I preferred probably the Unbreakable cinematography, but I did like the cinematography in this film, especially the close-ups. They were really well done, and the way things were centered were fantastic, especially the shots of Anya Taylor-Joy when we first sort of see her, and then she's talking with Sarah Paulson's character, and then ultimately when she goes in and talks to the Horde, trying to talk to Kevin. All of that's really well done. I just think it looks really nice, and a lot of the shots do feel like a comic book sort of thing. There are things in it I didn't love, like some of the visual effects weren't great. I didn't think where the Horde or the Beast was going up the wall, some of that little bit fake, and where he sort of was running it done too towards the end, and he turned into that sort of dog thing, which I didn't mind, but it just didn't look quite
right.
Yeah.
Like early on in the film, when David Dunn and the Beast are fighting, like there's a scene where they're throwing tables at each other, and it definitely felt like they were holding a green prop and they were just throwing back and forth. Like you can see where the cheapness of this film comes in, but like this film's trying to go for, it's trying to go for a more grounded superhero film. It's not trying to go for the big visual spectacle. So like I can forgive the film for its visual effects. Now getting into the musical score, it's fine, but like I do miss that emotional like weight that Unbreakable had, because James Newton Howard's score really, sold that movie. It's like definitely one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. This one, like, it tries to do the same thing Dunkirk had. It has this weird ticking noise that kept going on, which like, oh, what point is that?
Well, I still think the music quite good, and that ticking thing, I think it was the idea of like with action films you have some sort of clock, some ticking clock, and I think that was the build to what was going to transpire, and it did have sort of a similar theme with particular scenes, especially when you first see Dunn and in particular when Glass appears and stuff like that. I think that's, the music works for what he's going for, but yeah, I do agree. I think Unbreakable has a much better soundtrack than this film, but I'm still impressed with what they're able to accomplish with it.
The whole film itself I can forgive because I really enjoyed it.
I got swept up in the whole experience that like you're saying, the things that I might have not liked about it, I didn't mind so much because of the story and what I was seeing, and I was invested, and I wanted to go along with the journey with these characters.
I think it very much wrapped itself up nicely. Like I didn't have much problems with the ending. It's
I do admit, like, the first problem I have with the ending was, and spoilers, major spoilers, all three of the lead characters die, which at first kind of shocked me and, like, made me angry, because I was like, why? Like, because I was thinking, oh, there's not going to be a happy ending, it's going to, like, build to another sequel, but then, like, the more the film kept going, the more clever it became. This is where, like, the true, like, brightness of Samuel L. Jackson's character shines out, where his big plan is revealed, where his plan was to expose superheroes and make them, like, to everyone else real. So I can forgive the ending, but I do wish they did the Superman thing where they hint at, like, the Bruce Willis character didn't die. But, like, no, we don't get that. We don't get to see, like, one of the characters resurrect. Like, no, they're all dead. They're permanently dead.
Yeah, I think that was the one thing. I loved the movie up until that twist, because I just felt that you'd taken away everything. Everything was gone, and then you introduced a whole new society, or whatever these people were that Sarah Paulson's character worked for.
Yeah, like the anti-shield, like people who try to, like, hide away superheroes, like say, oh no, they don't exist. Like, that's what I kind of got. It's like they were the anti-shield, where, like, Shield in the Marvel comics were, like, trying to help the superheroes and, like, make them, like, accepted in the world.
Yeah, so I sort of struggled with the ending. I could see why they did it, and I think it does fit the story they're telling, the ending that they wanted. I just felt that up until that point, I'd invested so much, and for them to be killed off like that, it just threw me.
Yeah, it was a stab to the heart pretty much for me, because it was like, you know, we were along with these characters for the ride, and then it's just like stab in the back. That really, you know, pissed me off to begin with.
Well, here's the thing for it. It's the end of the trilogy. You've gone through everything with them, and so it's sort of like a cathartic kind of end, because they may have died, but they didn't die for nothing. Like you see it in many movies and shows where the main character dies, but it's not an unwarranted death.
Yeah, but you look at something like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, like that was a film series that had been building up to this one moment for, like, the true darkness just to be destroyed, and, like, then it's like the biggest happy ending you've ever seen, even though it went on for so goddamn long.
Yeah.
But then, like, with this film, it definitely felt a bit like anticlimactic, because it's like, you know, these characters we spent 3 films with, they've been built up for us to be invested in, because, like, you know, I love James McAvoy's character, I loved Bruce Willis's character, I love Samuel L. Jackson's character, and for them to be like, Thanos, just like, oh, snap and you're gone, it's like, wow, what a dumb move that was. But then it gets interesting, because the more the film went on, like, because it was like, there's still like another 10 minutes to go, then it started to make sense to me why they went with this ending, and, like, it definitely, you know, like, resurrected, like, the film for me, because, like, once the 3 characters were killed off, I was just like, oh, I don't like that, and, like, the score I originally had in my mind, I just dropped, like, I dropped by 2 points, because I was like, no, I'm so mad right now.
Yeah, and I was sort of like that as well, but I guess thinking about it now, it's like she talked about in it, we don't want martyrs, but they became martyrs for her. They became the poster child or the speakers for the people who are out there who may have abilities like this, and to say it's okay, and to say there are other people like you out there. I think that was kind of interesting, and I'd like to see, if he does do another one, whether he does or not, other people with abilities and what he would do with that and how he would expand that if he would. But I could see the point and purpose of it, why they did it.
Yeah, I would say it was a really fun movie overall. Like, even if people think it's slow, it's never boring at all.
No.
It's just a great ride, and, like, such great moments with James McAvoy. Like, it was so funny.
Like that. This is like the humor with the James McAvoy character is what is, like, kind of my type of humor, because, like, it's not like Marvel films where the humor is so just hits you over the head. Get it? It's funny. Like, this one is just like feels naturally funny, which I chuckled at some points. I was like,
Well, Hedwig, I thought he's always the funniest part, because he's a 9-year-old boy ultimately, and just where she comes in to see him and she's talking to Kevin, and then
he switches back to Hedwig,
and he's like, Do you like? Are you?
Are you dating Kevin now? What?
I like that humor. I thought that was very clever.
It was very, I guess, technically character driven.
Yeah.
Technically plays
And
with characters.
he's watching McAvoy's The Beast. Wow, like how muscly he is, and he's much bigger than he was in Split, and how they're sort of able to hide that sometimes too when he's playing Patricia, and he's got
You're covering up with like
with a dress or just the way he holds sort of things, and each character has a different way of being, and I just was really impressed with that idea and how he was able to create that. And for an actor like him, who I think is very talented anyway, for him to play a character with so many personalities is an actor's dream come true. Like to be able to do so many things in such a short period of time, and adding to the characters he already played in Split, and having what we've got like 10, 15 of them now that he plays, it's quite extraordinary.
Yeah. So overall, I would like to give this movie an 8 out of 10.
Overall, this is a film where you'll either accept the choices that are made here, or you'll just be like, no, hate it. The only little flaws I kind of had issues with was the POV shots of the cinematography. Some of the performances were could have been better, but other than that, I still found this to be a really great movie. The story they told here, I was just invested and sucked into. And while the conclusion might, piss a few people off, personally, it's an ending I can accept.
At this stage, for me, this film sits around, my scoring system's out of 5, so it sits around a 4, 4.5. I need to go and see it again to really get an essence and a sense of what I really thought of it since I've done it. But overall, I was really impressed with this. I would say I would agree in a lot of ways, this is probably M. Night's second best film after Unbreakable.
For me, it's a definite recommend. I would just go out of your way to see this film, because for us three, we all liked this film. And I'm going to give Glass an 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, be sure to like my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to my channel below. As always, I'm NETX5, and this has been Shaun and Mitchell. Thank you for watching.